What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to the JTFB YouTube channel. And on Taking Command with Josh Taylor, this video, I'm going to talk about a huge opportunity that the Washington Commanders have coming up next week at the Senior Bowl. As you know, I've been to the last 3 Senior Bowls. This will be my 4th one. I will be on the ground in Mobile, Alabama, checking out some of the best talent in the draft this year. The motto is the draft starts in Mobile, and it absolutely does. As you know, I talked to guys like Brian Robinson, our running back last year, Sam Howell, possible QB1 of the future, Cole Turner, Chris Paul, guard last year. There's just a lot of big-time guys that have come out of Mobile. 5 picks last year. Phidarian Mathis was the other. Came from the Senior Bowl last year, and Washington is absolutely there. I actually met a lot of the front office, some scouts, met with Hurney and Mayhew at the airport. That was an awesome opportunity. But there's an even cooler opportunity at the Senior Bowl. I think we can all agree that offensive line is the biggest need for Washington in this offseason. And Mayhew and Ron Rivera said it in their end of the season press conference. We've got to get younger and more durable. We got to figure out why these guys are getting hurt and really just kind of freshen up the line. Because if Sam Howell is QB1 next year, or Lamar Jackson, or Derek Carr, or whoever, Taylor Heinicke, it doesn't matter. There has to be more consistency and just an overall overhaul on the offensive line to keep that running game going and keep our quarterbacks protected. So I want to talk about this opportunity and really break down some of these guys and talk about the offensive linemen that are going to be at their Senior Bowl. There's about 6 or 7 or 8 guys that are in huge play for Washington. These are guys that I've mock drafted to Washington many, many times, whether it's the 2nd round, whether it's the 3rd round, 4th round, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of guys at the Senior Bowl that I cannot wait to talk to, seeing those one-on-one drills, and just really competing in the trenches. So let's start with it on with Travelle Wharton, who is the offensive line coach for the Washington Commanders, one of the assistants. He's going to be coaching one side of the teams for the Senior Bowl and the offensive line. Something they usually do every year is just pick a team. So like last year was the Jets and the Lions, and like their whole teams came out and all their coaches came out and just really coached their positions. But this year, the American team and the national team and every single position, they've hand-selected different guys. So like Ryan Kerrigan's going to be coaching the national team on the defensive line. He's got a lot of studs. But Travelle Wharton has a huge opportunity to be up close in person with a lot of these guys. So I'll talk about his team, and then I'll just go over briefly the American team. But I'm excited about the list of these guys that Coach Wharton has to really see at practice, get to know them, see their techniques up close in person, kind of just really get to know their game, but also get to know them. That's what I really love about the Senior Bowl. It's an amazing opportunity. I can't, speak highly enough about the opportunity that Jim Nagy gives people, including myself, to be so involved talking to these players, to be on the field, to just be in the stands watching practice and just really break down and talk to these guys, just really get to know them. It's my favorite event through the whole season. So let's get right to it. Like I said, I'll really go over these guys. Let's start with his team on the national team side. Jake Andrews out of Troy, 6'3", 315 pounds. He played a left guard, right guard, and center. He's more of a developmental guard, kind of a depth guy. Long-term projection for the NFL, kind of lacks that lower power, but he is a productive starter, has a lot of experience. McClendon Curtis out of Chattanooga. Chattanooga represented last year, if you remember. Strange, who got drafted by the Patriots, was a big-time name. Stock just went skyrocketed at the Senior Bowl last year. But Curtis is a 6'7", 340-pound. He really fills in so many different positions. He's a developmental multi-position guy. He's kind of like a flex. Has really long arms, but at 6'7", 340, just a great size, great frame for a guy like him. And now one of the first bigger names of the national team, Jalen Duncan, who is very much so a projected 2nd rounder out of Maryland, 6'6", 315. Got to see this guy in person this year at the Penn State game. As you know, I go to the Penn State home games and cover Penn State for Rivals. But I saw that Maryland and Penn State game, and there's a lot of things about his game to like. There's a couple things you don't like on the tape, but just a lot of just a lot of upside in this guy. He's a starting left tackle projection at the next level. Like I said, probably a second rounder. Great athleticism, high upside, needs refinement on technique versus edge rushers. Sometimes the speed guys can kind of get to his outside. So he's got to work on that kick step, getting a little bit more of that twitch to the outside. And he kind of loses his base against those guys. So there is some things to work on, but the upside for Jaelyn Duncan is absolutely there. Definitely in play in the second round for Washington. You know, they love those DMV guys. And Wharton's going to be watching this guy closely. Blake Freeland is a guy I've started paying attention to recently. BYU, 6'8", 305 pounds, starting left tackle. I started watching his tape in the last few weeks and just really breaking down everything. He's got the perfect size and length. He's an effective mover in the run game. So he's got a really high IQ in the pass pro. What I mean by high IQ from an offensive lineman is picking up these pre-snap, blitzes or these adjustments, kind of noticing things, but then also in the moment, split seconds, there's a stunt. Two defensive linemen switch. Washington does it a lot because we have really good interior D linemen, but just stunts where, say, Dron Payne and John Allen, when the play starts, the ball snap, they kind of just cross each other over. There's a bunch of different stunts you can do, but just one of the basic ones is just kind of crossing each other, switching off, because it really confuses offensive line of like, wait, who am I supposed to pick up? And it can just create some confusion and really mix up assignments on the offensive line. But he has a great IQ of picking stuff like that up. But I really like what I've seen from him. I'm still trying to figure out where he's projected. For me, he's more of like a middle third, maybe late third guy, is more of his ceiling. Like I said, he's really good in the run game. He had the second highest pass protection grade by PFF at 91.8. First was Peter Skoronski, of course. Needs slight footwork refinement, but once again, plays at a high, plays high with his leverage, so you can kind of work on that a little bit. But he's a guy that could project to start at left tackle in the NFL. Ryan Hayes out of Michigan. Michigan's had back-to-back seasons of winning the award for the best offensive line in college football, and you'll see another guy who won some awards individually coming up next. But Ryan Hayes out of Michigan, 6 foot, I think it was 6'1" or 6'7". I can't remember here. 6'1", I want to say. No, it's 6'7", 307 pounds, left tackle, projected guard due to his arm length, great strength, just needs a little bit better footwork, a little bit better strength. For me, it's with the arm length, it's kind of like Peter Skoronski. I think he could play outside at that tackle spot, but that arm length, when you're getting that initial strike from an edge rusher, a guy like Montez Sweat just striking you right away, you don't have the arm length to keep him in your frame, to square up with him, keep that leverage, and really control where you want to go with him. It causes you to kind of reach, maybe get some holding penalties, or just be completely out of position where he's pushing you back, you're off your base. They get the leverage on you. So arm length concerns for me has you in that guard position because you're not depending on getting that first strike and then a guy going past you. You still can, hold your ground at that guard spot. So I think Ryan Hayes is a guy that projects more of a starting left guard, but just the overall strong dude. Like I said, the whole offensive line from Michigan was dominant all season long, and he was a good part of it. And DeJuan Jones, another one of the big namers at the Senior Bowl. Ohio State, 6'8", 360 pounds, starting right tackle. This is a guy that I've mocked to Washington many, many times in the second round at right tackle. If one of my other guys is on the other team, one of my favorite, I'd say he's my favorite right tackle in the whole draft. DeJuan Jones is right there with this guy, though. I think he's got a tremendous upside to him. I think he would be a phenomenal second round value if he is there. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes right before us. 0 sacks allowed in 2022. He has such a rare size and length, and he moves so well for his size. He's just so quick. He has that quick twitch of, what I'm saying, like being able to set your feet. He went against some of the top talent this season. The last 2 seasons, he was phenomenal against those guys. When you go back and you watch the All-22, you go back and watch the tapes, you're like, okay, what did he do against the best talent? What did he do against Georgia? What did he do against, the edge rushers at Penn State, Michigan, Alabama, whoever? What did he do in those games. And that seems like some of the games where he really shined the most. But he's just so fluid. He's so quick for his size. Of course, he has a strength that's 6'8", 360. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just that's your stereotypical like cookie cut. Like, this is what you want in just a long-term developing guy on the right tackle spot. The only thing I have on him is he needs to work on his change of direction. Yes, he's very quick on that first move, but sometimes if a guy counters back and say he jumps out, kicks, and he's guarding that right side, he does a great job on that first move. What does that second move look like? But still very small move. That's what really separates him from being a first round guy like Paris Johnson, his teammate at Ohio State. Now let's take a look at the other side, the rest of the national team. Cody Mauch, a guy out of North Dakota State, started as a tight end, moved to the guard spot. And if you've seen the picture of him, long ginger hair, missing teeth, just a typical North Dakota State player, 6'6", 301 pounds. The only thing to really sum this guy up is just tough, gritty, tough. Once again, he's one of these guys that's projected as like a starting guard because of the arm length concerns, but good movement, agility, great balance. I have him listed as a third. I've seen him mocked even as a late second round guy. So these are guys. I don't know if there's any guys that can really sneak up into the first, maybe on the other team. I think there's a guy or two that could sneak up in the first. Maybe DeJuan Jones late first wouldn't surprise me. But I had someone tell me the other day, oh, the Senior Bowl is just all late round guys. Absolutely not. I'm telling you, just because they're seniors or juniors that graduated, whatever. This is top talent at the Senior Bowl. This is what I loved last year and the year before that. You have the Justin Herberts in the past, the Terry McLaurins. You've got the Jalen Hurts, like you name it. The best of the best go to the Senior Bowl. Yes, Bryce Young and them won't be there, but still the top talent are going to be at the Senior Bowl at every single position. So they're going to be competing against some of the top guys. So I want to see what they look like. Now, this guy, Olu, I call him Olu 2 times. Olu Tatami, started out at UVA. That's where I really got to watch him, being a guy that lives in Charlottesville. And then he transferred to Michigan. He just absolutely killed it this season. 6'3", 310 pounds, starting center, won the Outland and the Remington Trophy. And once again, they won the Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country for the second season in a row. He has a ton of experience. Like I said, transferring over to Michigan, he had a ton of experience, being able to just start right away at that center spot on a team that won the best offensive line award last year and then got it again this year. Are you kidding me? You saw how they ran the ball down people's throats on that team. Very high IQ because of his experience. He's been through the trenches. He's been against the best. He has seen it all. He knows what the game looks like and how it's supposed to be played. He is great in pass protection, just needs to improve in the run game a little bit, get into that second level. Lower body power is a little lacking there, but I think this is a really big upside guy. Projected late second, probably early third. I've, been able to mock him, and mock drafts aren't always, crystal clear. They're not always 100% accurate, and that's fine. It just gives you something to really go off of. But I projected this guy to go to Washington because I said it in my blueprint video. Go check it out, the 2023 offseason blueprint video. I think Chase really is a guy that could be one of those cap casualty cuts because of how much he's going to really, hit the cap next season, and then how he's only played 10 games in 2 seasons. It's very concerning. I think Tyler Larson's a great backup. Wes Schweitzer came in as a third string out of nowhere and was able to fill in that void. I think Olu, whether he starts at center or he plays at guard for his first season, whatever, I think Olu is a big-time guy that could be a long-term piece at that center spot, and Washington is absolutely dying for that. So sign me up for Olusegun. I would love to have him here in Washington. Jarrett Patterson, another guy with a ton of experience. Just one of these big-time pieces for Notre Dame. 6'4", 307 pounds. Played at center for 3 seasons and switched to left guard in 2022. I think he can do both. I think I like him a little bit more at guard. But once again, kind of like Wes Schweitzer did this season, like I just said, he can come in and play at center. He's tough with great technique, lacks athleticism in the second level, kind of like Olu. Just being able to get the block out of the way, open up that lane, and get to that next guy and really just finish it. I want to see a guy that can chip his, the guy in front of him to his guard, or if he's playing guard to the tackle, get him out of the way and climb the ladder, climb up in that second level, take out a linebacker, box safety, whatever, and just create even more opportunity in the run game. But still, just has a ton of experience at Notre Dame. He's a great IQ to pick up these blitzes and stunts. Projected late third, early fourth, maybe mid fourth for Jarrett Patterson, but another guy that you can get in the middle rounds possibly that has a lot of experience and I think has a lot of upside to him. Now, this guy, I had to really dig deep on Asim Richards because he's getting a lot of buzz recently. This is a guy that can really take a lot away from the Senior Bowl. This is a guy who's been really sneaky at North Carolina, starting left tackle, 6'4", 315, very quick twitch, great movement, can have sloppy technique sometimes, arm length concerns there at left tackle, but he's a sleeper with a lot of upside. In the run game, he's great at that left tackle spot, but it comes, in pass protection where his technique can get a little off, doesn't, really have great hand placement all the time. Sometimes lets guys through, but still only allowed 3 sacks on 666 pass blocking reps. A big time developer guy, but he has a lot going for him. It can be a huge payoff. I've watched his tapes. It's just, there's a lot to love. There are some concerns, but if you just take the time with this guy, he can be one of these gems. So he's one that I'm kind of circled to really just focus on at the Senior Bowl, see how he's doing, on these, whether it's 7-on-7, 11-on-11, or he's 1-on-1, in these drills where it's just you and the pass rusher or D tackle, whoever. See really what those techniques are. You're alone on an island, especially at that left tackle spot, whether it's a quarterback's blind spot, like you're responsible for a lot. So I really want to see what he looks like, but he's one of those ones that could just come out of nowhere and blow up and get a lot of steam and hype out of the Senior Bowl. We've seen it happen the last few years. Guys like Quinn Miners just blowing up. He's a big time piece for the Broncos. And last but not least, it says Andre, but it's Andrew Voorhees out of USC. 6'6", 320 pounds, played center, guard, and tackle. A lot of experience. He's a straight up bully in the run game. Strong at the point of attack with his strikes. Needs to be a little bit quicker in pass pro against rushing interior defensive linemen. So guys like Deron Payne would give him fits probably right off the jump. Guys who can, the interior D-line spot that can actually get to the quarterback. John Allen can do it too. Obviously, guys like Aaron Donald. But against those kind of guys that have a little bit more speed that you don't expect in that interior D-line, those are the ones that usually beat him. But he's really good against just guys who are just straight up strong. I've seen him projected by some people as a first rounder. I don't think he is a first rounder. I think he's a second round. I could see him going early second. But I think it's an option there in middle second. USC loves this guy. He was a big time fan favorite. He's projected to start right away at left guard when he is drafted. I don't see any kind of curve. There's, like I said, there are a few things I think with everybody in the draft that you want to work on. But he has the potential to just come in and start at left guard right away. Big time name there as well. But real quick, let me tell you what the other side looks like on the American team. Because there's some big, and I told you my favorite guy is on this team, and I cannot wait to see him because he was working my Alabama squad. When I went back and watched tape, blew me away. So on the American team, an offensive line coached by 2 offensive line coaches by the Green Bay Packers, Steve Avila out of TCU, another guy who's getting a lot of hype right now. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. I've seen him in a lot of mock drafts too. Nick Broker out of Ole Miss. Emil Ekiyor out of Alabama, one of my dudes. Richard Courage out of Florida. Wayne Morris Jr. Wayne Morris Jr. out of Oklahoma. Local guy, ODU, Nick Saldiveri. And then Minnesota, another guy that I've mocked a lot, second round pick for sure, probably the best center in the entire draft out of Minnesota, John Michael Schmitz. Tackle Tyler Steen, transferred from Vanderbilt to Alabama, had a really good season. And then, I mean, I said they're the top two offensive linemen in the entire Senior Bowl. O'Cyrus Torrence, who's probably going to be a middle, late first round pick at that guard spot. He's just a mountain of a man, a straight up beast. There's a lot of people that love O'Cyrus Torrence right now out of Florida. Big time guy, but my number one right tackle in the draft, who I think could easily sneak up. And I'm telling you, this might be a hot take. He's projected second rounder, but if he got taken in the top 25, top 30, it would not surprise me. And that is right tackle out of Tennessee, Darnell Wright. I hate to say it, but my guy, Will Anderson, could not get past him. And I think Will Anderson is a generational, and I don't use this a lot, he is a generational type of pass rusher on the outside there who got double teamed a lot at Alabama. Should have won the Heisman last year based it off his numbers. Should have at least made it over Aiden Hutchinson, who had double Aiden Hutchinson's numbers on tackles for loss and sacks. Will Anderson's an absolute freak, and Darnell Wright, they had to move Will Anderson around a couple times and put him on the other side, on the left side of the line, so he could get to Hendon Hooker. But Darnell Wright, just a straight up beast. There's a lot of guys at this Senior Bowl that I'm super excited to see, even outside the offensive lineman. But I'm telling you, we need to beef up this line and create a long-term stability in a lot of spots. I think there's going to be a lot of turnover on this team. Like I said, Chase Roulier, don't know what they do with Leno if they move him. We don't know what's going to happen with Sam Cosmi. Do they keep him at right tackle? Do they move him to right guard? Is Chris Paul going to get this, a chance at left guard? Do they re-sign Wes Schweitzer? There's a lot of questions. So my eyes will be glued to these offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl. Appreciate y'all tuning in, checking out the video. I'll be heading down to Mobile on the 31st, getting there super early, just in time for practice. I'm standing right across the street, thankfully. So subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter. You see my name there at Josh Taylor FB. So I will be bringing y'all all the content at the Senior Bowl, and I'll be checking in with my guy Rio Robinson as well. So go over to his channel. I know you already follow his channel. So I will see y'all next time on Taking Command with Josh Taylor. Peace.